Hi everyone, it's Nathaniel again. I'm here today to do something a little different. I want to talk about the Sandman Netflix series. I was a big fan of it. I actually came into it a little bit midway or towards the end, maybe in the early 90s. And even though I wasn't the biggest fan, I did have two of the t-shirts. I had the Teddy Christensen Morpheus and Wesley Dodds shirt here. And I also had the shirt from Time of Your Life series about death. And I really, a friend turned me on to it whenever I was first getting into more like serious comics, and I fell in love with Neil Gaiman's writing, and ultimately read Stardust as well. And then the artwork in it was so wonderful. So now that they finally made the show, I wanted to give some of my impressions about it. So when they announced it and they showed some of the cast, I was skeptical, like some people, that Death was being played by someone of color. Mostly because the Endless they were without any kind of pigment. They were just, you know, totally white. But having seen the episode with Death, I think that Kirby Howe Baptiste did a phenomenal job. She embodied the character absolutely, in the way that she and Morpheus pandered off of each other, I thought was great. That episode particularly was straight out of what I remember from the comics. And then going on to Hob Gadling as well. So I absolutely think that was a great choice. And I also, with the different gender swaps that they did with Lucienne and Lucifer and John Constantine, that ultimately that was fine. I thought it was a little weird that they used a female character for Constantine simply because he has his own series, and we've seen movies, the Keanu Reeves movie that had him and everything, so he's already well established. I didn't have any problem with like Lucifer being played by a woman, because Lucifer is Lucifer, so can embody whatever really it wants. So and she is such a great actress anyway. I felt like she was probably a better Lucifer than some of the portrayals that we have been seeing. So I was very pleased with how that was all done. Now, as far as my impressions of the way the show was, overall I really liked it. I thought that Tom Sturges was absolutely phenomenal. I thought that the way that he often looked like he was almost on the edge of tears actually was really great, because that ultimately leads into more of what happens with the story. Because how Lyda, I'm not going to give any spoilers, but how Lyda, of course, conceived a baby within the dreaming, and then the conversation that Morpheus and Death, or Dream and Death, had at the park, it leads to, the conclusion of the series. And so I thought that overall they did a great job. My only complaints, honestly, about the series, because I thought the design was great. I thought the actors, every one of the main actors, I thought was phenomenal. I loved Rose Walker. I thought she did a wonderful job. Tom Sturges was great. I thought the person playing Desire, I'm not sure what his name is, did great, because Desire is an androgynous character and kind of presents as either way, and the way they portrayed Desire was exactly how Desire was. The smile that she always had, just the malevolence that kind of went along with her, happiness. He did a phenomenal job. So all of that was really good. The problem that I had is the first couple of episodes. I felt like when Dream finally escaped, because the visuals were so wonderful and everything, but then there was this whole sort of just everything took forever. It was so important, him reaching to the water took forever. And it's the same kind of complaint that I had with some of this last season of Stranger Things, is that it's so important, so we have to dwell on it. And they kind of got away from that, which I was extremely grateful for. Um, so that was the only thing that I had issues with, the actual like portrayal of the series or anything like that. The other thing that I do want to comment on is that if you are new to the series, if you're not familiar with the mythology behind it, or where it ultimately leads, please have some patience, because this set of stories is very harsh. The whole Corinthian and the serial convention, which is kind of funny, but it's also not funny, because what they're really talking about. And of course, Dream comes in and makes amends in a lot of ways, but it's really harsh seeing that and knowing that this one guy particularly, kills kids. And so if all of that is a real turnoff when you're originally watching it, give it time, it all plays in. And I thought that what Bold Holbrook, he did a great job as the Corinthian. Yeah, he looked at, he embodied the character just like the rest of them. They really did a great job. Now on to my more controversial comment. I felt like how to say this without totally offending everyone. I felt like there was way too much homosexuality in it. And the reason why I bring this up is simply because I am all for representation. If you ever have seen the show Sense8, I think that is a wonderful and phenomenal representation of people in their lives, without making them a thing. And it, of course, was done by the Wachowski sisters. It has a clear and realistic depiction of people in same-sex marriages or relationships. It has an actual transgender actor playing a transgender character, and it's not a thing. They are just who they are, and they are living their lives. They are loving the loves that they have. They are experiencing, problems just like anyone else. And so I kind of felt like, because of updating the material to more current standards, then you are going to add more representation than what the original comic book may have had. But when you have a scene that has 7 people in it, and the majority of them end up being homosexual, that's not a clear representation of our society. And so I felt like that was a little bit thrown off, because not only are you making characters that are like main characters like Constantine, having them in same-sex relationships, but then you're also taking a room full of people, so to speak, and 2 of the characters who, one's married and one is pining after the male cook, and they each get into a same-sex situation as everything deteriorates. And so I feel like that was unnecessary. The other thing that I had issue with is that the Corinthian, I don't know what his sexuality is. It really doesn't matter as far as the actor goes, but he looked uncomfortable to me whenever he was kissing, people. And his character obviously is an odd character anyway. He's got mouths for eyes, but the fact that it did not look like he was naturally engaging with these individuals. So I just didn't feel like the amount of it needed to be shown, quite truthfully. And the fact that the married couple, the depiction of their affection was fairly chaste. The one sex scene that they showed was, of course, blocked by the couch. And yet we have, these multiple representations that are outside of that. So, you know, I'm open to any conversation about that, because I don't think that it necessarily took away from. I think that some of the violence is probably going to bother people a lot more than any of the other, and I am very accepting of making changes during adaptations, and you know, I talk about that in some of my other videos, that I'm totally open to combining characters. I don't really mind gender swaps or racial swaps. I think that that's, you know, pretty much open, as long as it makes sense in the story. And when it comes down to it, I didn't feel like this piece made sense in the story. So other than that, stick with the story. Netflix, please make more seasons, because there's 75 books in the series, and it goes really well. And the final, you know, the kindly ones in the wake and everything as it closes up are some of the best ones. So I look forward to it. You know, let me know what you think about the show, and if you loved the series whenever it came out. And until later, have a good afternoon. Bye.